And this year marks the first time the Paralympics are going to offer some kind of coverage for all 22 sports. And you know the CBC will be there broadcasting on several platforms. Our next guest will also be there. Rob Shaw has a PhD in interdisciplinary studies from UBC Okanagan and works for Spinal Cord Injury BC. And he will be competing in wheelchair tennis as part of the Canadian Paralympic team. And he joins us now from Paris. Rob, hello there.
Hi, Gloria. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Well, you're there in the Olympic Village. I can see the buildings behind you. You've already been in Europe training and competing. How are you feeling heading into the Paralympics?
Yeah, feeling really excited. The vibe here at the village is fantastic. All the athletes have now arrived, and there's that Olympic and Paralympic buzz going on here. So really exciting, and just itching to get on court and compete.
Right. Well, it is the eve of the opening day of the Paralympics as well. So how would you describe the mood? You already said it's a good vibe, but you feeling sort of that competitive jitters from other athletes?
Yeah, you know what? I think the anticipation is really high, given that Tokyo was obviously the COVID game. So a lot of us athletes had to make tough decisions to not go to the opening ceremonies to protect our health. Whereas this year, we're all a little bit more confident to go. So I think the vibe is really positive about going. I think we're going to have a really strong delegation there. And yeah, it's just really exciting to be a part of right now.
Well, and the Paralympics, as I mentioned, are getting a lot more broadcast coverage this year, too. So what differences have you seen in the past with how Paralympics were covered, compared to Olympics?
Yeah, I think first, big shout out to CBC for taking that on and trying to expose the sports more in a positive way to the viewers back home. In previous editions of the Paralympics, it always felt like you had the support back home, but it was always after your event. You had family and friends reach out saying, "Hey, saw the result, great effort or great job," but no one was actually able to watch and cheer along with you. So having that increased broadcast allows that support to be more instantaneous. It feels more real, and as an athlete, it's always nice knowing that your friends and family are able to watch you back home. So it's exciting that they're going to be broadcasting a lot more this time around.
Yeah, well, how would you say that, the lack of coverage might affect an athlete's overall performance?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's and for most athletes, it's a full team system that gets you here, and that team is your coach, your physios, your trainer, your nutritionist, but also your family and friends who all sacrifice a lot of time and effort to get you here. And so you want to give back, and oftentimes the best way to give back is by giving your all in your sport. And it's difficult to sometimes do that when you know no one's watching, when you know no one can actually support you and watch you put all your effort out there. So I think a lot of us, we like to hear the noise, we like to hear the applause, we like to have that inner stress and pressure of people watching. And sometimes without that, you can have a bit of a lull out there. So it's great that we're going to have so many sports stream this time.
Well, and what have you noticed about coverage to date, just in terms of how para athletes are portrayed in the media?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The coverage has always been a lot poorer than the Olympic Games. The stories aren't told as well, and when they are told, they often focus on the disability and overcoming the disability rather than focusing on the person. And as people with disabilities, we understand that people like to hear about that resilience, about that determination to overcome the challenges and barriers that we face. But at our core, we're still just people, and we want our disability to not always be the focal point. We want our athletic pursuits, our athletic endeavors, our athletic accomplishments to be in the limelight rather than just the disability itself. So hopefully the stories going around this year are a little bit more balanced, where it's not just focusing so much on the disability aspect, but more on the sport as well. And I think media are doing their best to steer more towards that direction.
Well, speaking of athletic accomplishments, I'd love to hear it from your own lips that you made Canadian tennis history. Tell us about that.
Yeah, you know what? It was Lima was super exciting for me to win a gold there. I wasn't supposed to. And then having the pressure in Santiago to defend, obviously it didn't go as well as we all hoped. I got the silver there, but you see in the stand-up tennis and the wheelchair tennis just how hard it is to win a medal. We're not like other sports where you have the opportunity to play a bad game and then bounce back. We don't have pool play. We have single elimination knockout. If you have a bad day, you're out of the tournament. And so it's really cutthroat right from day one, and you can't have a stumble. So it felt good to be the first, Canadian tennis player stand up or wheelchair to win a singles medal at a multi-sport games, and hopefully I can maybe, if things go super well, continue that streak here.
I hope so. I really do. I know, and you've done this before. This is your second Paralympics, but I can hear the excitement in your voice right now, Rob. What are you most excited about this year?
You know what? This year, I'm just excited to be a part of the games the way the games are supposed to be experienced. Tokyo did as good of a job as they could have given the conditions, but you were isolated. Countries couldn't mingle. You couldn't hang out with fellow athletes and fellow teammates. Even within Canadian circles, a lot of teams were really restrictive of who athletes could eat dinner with, hang out with. Whereas here, it's everyone mingling. It's everyone out on the streets in the village at the end of the day after training, and they're biking around right now as I watch them. And there's that sense of freedom and that sense of relaxation. Whereas in Tokyo, there was a lot of fear still and a lot of stress. So just being part of that environment and being able to experience it for my first time the way it's supposed to be is definitely a dream come true.
I'm so glad you're able to experience that level of excitement and anticipation and ambiance all wrapped into one. Listen, we'll be watching. Thank you so much for making time for us.
I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and for doing a great job of broadcasting all this to the people back in Canada. So appreciate the support.
Rob Shaw is competing in wheelchair tennis at the 2024 Paralympics in Paris. The CBC will have coverage of these games on several platforms. Just check out the CBC website for more information.